Welcome to the 716 Sports Blizzard podcast. And today, my special guest is Dean, and we're gonna talk some Bills draft.
Hi, Robbie.
Hi, Dean.
All right. This will be a lot of fun. The people see colorful spreadsheets on X or Twitter, and don't know um, where they're coming from and how I get something called Scout Score, and maybe that's something we ought to be talking about.
Yeah. Um. How how do you like scout those positions?
Yeah, I have. I'm on X with about 2,000 sports information people in the college football world for the teams, and if they are very eager to tell you which teams are at their practices, which teams are at their games, so that they can uh, basically publish their sport, emphasize what how much interest there is in certain players that are at their school. So they're very eager to share who's credentialed for the games, and and most teams do fill out credentials to get into the press box or the game, uh, uh, the inner sanctum. So they're up there. They're up there in the press box because they actually have assigned seats and stuff like that.
What position do you think the Bills need the most during this draft?
Good question. I think that they need to have pressure and cage rush for the mobile quarterbacks that they seem to lose to. So I'm going to say edge or defensive tackle, and I don't think it matters whether we take a three tech or a one tech. It looks like I did a little chart of this that we'll see in a second, but it doesn't really matter the three tech or the one tech. There are a lot more one techs later in the draft, and it sure looks like the Bills are looking at three techs earlier rather than later. Um, Wide receiver and edge are the two top ones if you look at the numbers. Why don't we show them that chart? We'll we'll discuss it a little. There we are. So these are the numbers of players that the Bills have scouted that have a, a scout score of 5. So that could be 5 scouts at one game, one scout at each of 5 games. Uh, Brandon Bean counts for 3 points, so that gets you pretty close to 5 right away. 28 wide receivers had a scouted score of over 5, and 11 of those are in the top 100. It was a mixture. Scouted slot receivers and X receivers, um, and the position was second most um, for the top 100 players. On edge, if you skip down to the pink there, edge had 14 scouted edges in the top 100 that were looked at. All were scouted at least 2 games, and edge was the most scouted defensive position group. And second was three tech. So there are 11 three techs that the Bills spent a lot of time looking at. If I had to guess, it's either going to be a three tech or Grant, Tyleek, or Dion will be there at their number pick 30. And what's interesting is that if Kenneth Grant falls to the Bills, I have him at 22. I don't think he will. But if is Kenneth Grant there at pick 30? It could be a one tech. Um, um, Maybe they like Tyleek Williams more than we think. Ohio State was the most scouted school this year, with Clemson, Syracuse, Michigan, and South Carolina and Alabama following. So those seem to be the ones that had the most. Not many tight ends in the top 100. There are only 5 there: Loveland, Arroyo, Helm, Warren, and Mason Taylor. But they scouted the equal number of quarterbacks. I think they're doing their due diligence. But Cam Ward, Will Howard, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milrow, and Quinn Ewers. Um, I don't think that that's a direction they would go before day 3. Running back, only 2 in the top 100. Neither one is named Ashton Jeanty, but both of them are from Ohio State. Now, 10 of the 18 scouted running backs are 215 pounds or more. So you know that they want to get a slobber knocker kind of back, to complement either James Cook or moving on. Um, OT, there are 7 of them. All of them play left tackle except for Ajani Cornelius, who is the right tackle. There are good tackles available. I think if Josh Simmons dropped to the Bills at 30, he would certainly be in the conversation, just based on how many scouting eyeballs were at Ohio State. And no centers, no guards in the top 100 were scouted, but you're taking an interior offensive lineman on day 3 and or in PFA, preferred free agency. All of them were ranked. They were all final 8 teams. My best guess is Jake Majors. So you heard it here first on 716 Blizzard, that if they take an interior offensive lineman, it'll be Jake Majors. And I just wrote about that on Buffalo Fanbase. On the defensive side of the ball, edge is the most scouted defensive position group, and 3 tech was the second most. And after that, it's not as many as you would think for a 1 tech or a linebacker. Bean always takes a linebacker. It's usually day 3. He has 17 to choose from that he looked at. So 14 of those will be on day 3. 3 of them will go before then. Cornerback, 6 top 100 cornerbacks. I've listed them for you. Denzel Burke, Will Johnson, no chance. Trey Amos, probably second round pick. Maxwell Harrison, also a second round pick, I think. Shade Barron, also second round pick, even first, depending on how he does at the combine. And Azaria Thomas. So those 6, I think, would be in the top 3 rounds of the draft. Bills have 3 picks in the top 3 rounds right now, and I'm working on a mock draft that comes out very soon that actually has us trading down with somebody right in the beginning of round of the second day, which gets us a 3rd rounder where there's a mother load of some of these players. And the other thing I wanted to tell you is that there are lots of really good linebackers in this year's draft, but it's a sort of a like 32 flavors and then some. There's so many different kinds of linebackers and what they do and how big they are and could they possibly be a safety, a kind of a thumper safety, box safety kind of player as well. So that's that screen. Let me show you exactly what those schools are that they scouted the most. We'll put that one up. I will put that one up here in a second. Okay, do you see it?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Okay.
What player do you think would fit McDermott's system?
Um, the safety is Nick Emenwari. No safety made more solo tackles per game in the whole safety class as Nick Emenwari. Emenwari, I guess he pronounces it. He's a strong safety. Look at how many visits to Michigan and South Carolina and Alabama there are. It could mean that that if let's say Kenneth Grant isn't there, you pick the next best player, which is either Josh Simmons of Ohio State or Nick Emenwari. The edge player got 10 visits is Shamar Stewart. I think he's the other good fit for the Bills in the first round, second round. I think you'll probably need to take him at 30. Um, I got to put in a plug for Jahdae Barron. He's down at 9 here in the scout visits with Texas. Um, I expected he might be gone by then, and I just ran a mock the other day where Jahdae Barron fell, and another one that fell was Starks, the safety, the safety from Georgia. So you never know who's going to fall because everybody has their own darling, and there are 32 different teams with 32 different philosophies. Some players are going to fall that you don't even expect to fall. So the nice thing is you have 2 picks in the second round. The way it stacks up now, you could use one to trade with to trade up, or you could combine both picks and get closer up to the players that are seem to be falling past where you had them valued. So that's a good one. I put a column here that said best bet, and I know I'll get in trouble for this, but for instance, Josh Simmons is the first player in range for the Bills at 30, but it's possible that they think the best bet is Tyleik Williams, the one tech, get Daquan Jones' successor in the building now, and take him earlier. Look who's sitting over in column 3, Jack Sawyer, an edge, and he fits the psyche that McDermott wants. If you watched him at the end of the game, where the Ohio State game, he was hugging his coach. The guy was absolutely enthralled with Jack Sawyer as a person, as and a passionate player. So that's a thought there. So there's quite a few here that would fit the Bills' psyche, and one of the things that I do, I'm going to show you a another screen here. I'm going to show you the first the first 30 players that are on the board, and I watched an interview for every single for each player in the draft. And some players didn't have as good an interview as others. My key over here shows that there's a dark blue player. That means he's a wrestler. Mason Graham is a wrestler. Ones where I think McBean would be thrilled to have him on the team are in that teal turquoise color, and players that are in pink, like Abdul Carter, have a character concern. So those are some other reasons. There's also an interview column, and you can see that some of the players, even Abdul Carter, has a great interview. It's just that he had a an assault charge and a misdemeanor secondary charge. I read the files. He had to. The case would be dropped if he went to basically a year of management, anger management. So, do you take a player like that? Maybe you do. Maybe one of the other players falls to us because um, he's taken, or maybe he drops because people don't want to risk it. Um, I'll show you a little bit more of this thing. We'll get down to where we pick. So Malachi Starks on my board. This is the Buffalo fan base big board, and you can do simulations with it over on fanspeak.com. We're going to do one in a bit. But Malachi Starks, he's a perfect fit. He's a strong safety kick returner type player. Had a great interview, and he had he had 8 scouting score, and I really like that player. Tyler Warren's not gonna come to the Bills unless we trade Knox. Luther Burden, I've got him too high up. You see, I have 2 players at 16.
Yeah.
So you can do a resort on Google just by doing that, and then say, okay, boom, and then whoop, there, it's all fixed. There's no longer 2 16s. Luther Burden would make a wonderful X receiver, and he's going to make a good X receiver for somebody else, because we're probably not going up to 16, 17, 18 where these players go. Tyler Booker would be the left guard in the whole draft. I like him a lot. And then Emeka Ibuka right here. Now, the combination of having character issues in Mike Green and the fact that his interview was one of the worst, at least the worst in the first round, makes me think that he's a player that could drop, or somebody's going to take him and let somebody like Nick Scorton fall to the Bills. He's at 23. Jahdae Barron, I expect to have him be gone. Kenneth Grant, expect to have him be gone. But I would love any of those players on my my team. They had great interviews. Benjamin Morrison, the cornerback, had the best interview of the whole cornerback class. So that's an important thing. He does need to eat more wings. He's only at 175, but he runs a 439. That would be a really nice pick. And I don't have him in turquoise because I was worried about the weight size. But he, for a zone or a man coverage guy, he'd be a wonderful first pick, especially if Jahdae Barron's already gone. Now we come down to our pick. So right around in 30, I think these might be the players that are there. That's what I'm thinking now. Oh, notice that in 2023, Jack Sawyer still had 10 scout score and a 15 this year. I think he's in the running for that first pick. He's an edge, and he's one of the top 5 as far as speed goes. We'll see what the combine says, but there's always some scramble down here. I think that Nick Eamon-Wari would be a wonderful pick. He's a big, strong safety, kind of in the mold of Duggar, if you remember Kyle Duggar, but 5.65 solo tackles per game. The others that received a lot of eyeballs are Trey Harris, he had the best interview of the wide receivers, and JT Tuimoloau, the edge from Ohio State. So that automatically gets you 15 points. So Sawyer and Tuimoloau both got a lot of interest. Somebody said the other day, well, what if the Bills actually brought in another quarterback to learn under Josh and so forth? I anything's possible, but Jackson Dart, I have him right there. But I like Jihad Campbell and Tyleik Williams better for the Bills in terms of their needs. We'll see what happens in free agency. Bean could have some of these needs filled.
Do you think the Bills, like, do you think they would trade like Knox or somebody to like move up or down in the draft?
And I'm hoping not. You don't want to screw with chemistry. So I'm hoping that they don't do that. It's possible, I suppose. I don't think we're as far away from the Super Bowl as some people do. I think that some tweaks are necessary and not some wholesale changes that some people are suggesting.
Um, what position do you think the Bills will most likely look to fill during the draft or free agency?
Ooh, so in free agency, I don't think that they would bring in a rookie to replace somebody like Rapp. So I think that there might be if they have any intention of doing something about Rapp during the draft, that they would bring in a vet. And I've heard some good names suggested about safety. What if you took away safety as one of the needs that the Bills need to fill? I think Bean has done a great job in the past of having at least stopgap or even really decent solutions to every position. And therefore, there's competition for the starting spots, even the ones that, let's say, Daquan Jones is getting on in years. But he will fight tooth and nail if they bring in somebody like Tyleik Williams to take snaps away from him. So I think there'll be a solution at every position through free agency. And again, he may not make the splash Max Crosby type of solution, but he will bring in somebody that actually fits the system the best. I think Max Crosby would be an awesome solution, but that's a different conversation, I think. Do you want to try to do a mock draft?
Yeah,
Okay,
that'd
so
be.
I've got the list. I got the list of all of the schools, and I will be forced by a couple of rules. One is that I have to choose the school that was scouted more, and then once that need is met, if we don't need two at that position, I'll just go down the list. So let's see if I can get us up here. Let me start the this is fanspeak.com on the clock. So I'm going to start the round here. Woo! Okay. So you're probably wondering how did Ashton Genty and Malachi Starks fall to the Bills at 30? And you can go back and you can actually look at the picks and say, oh, okay, that's how Alfred Collins got drafted. Josh Connerly got drafted. There seemed to have been a run on the offensive tackles because Josh Simmons went at 19 to the Tampa Bay Bucks, and Mason Graham fell to 18. And I'm sure that when a wrestler falls to 18, um, McDermott starts to have a cow. But anyway, now with the looking at the top 4 or 5 players, I have to choose one that's further up on the list here. Georgia is a 9, and that position is really, really necessary. So I know that there might be other players down below that other draft nicks would have higher than the Bills, but I'll take Malachi Starks here and get roasted for it later. Okay, going on to round 2. There's a trade. I'm not going to do a trade today, but okay, round 2. Emanwari just went. I see that Emanwari just went by there. So I have to make this a little smaller so I can get the decline. All right, my choices are North Carolina, Omarion Hampton. Omarion Hampton would be a wonderful replacement for Cook, but not a complement to Cook. Trevion Henderson would be a big, fast back that's even faster than what we have. And South Carolina would win with an 11 scout score. So I will take Kyle Kennard, the edge rusher. Oh, and it's our turn again. We have another possibility here. There are nice choices here. I'm going by my list here of scout scores. I'm taking Trevion Henderson, and probably I would have to get rid of one of the running backs and trade him for a later pick. But again, I'm not going to do that here. I could propose a trade, but we do not have a 3rd round pick. I could have traded down, but we don't have a 3rd round pick, but we do have a 4th round pick or 2 or 3. Okay, here are the choices. Okay. Everybody likes Ricky White, but Oklahoma has 8 scout score points. Florida State has less. Colorado State has virtually none. And Nebraska has virtually none. They have 3 points. So I have to go with Danny Stutzman. Let's see. Does Ole Miss have more? It has the same. Okay, so here's something I can do. I really like Chris Paul of Ole Miss, and I really like Danny Stutzman of Oklahoma. I do know that Danny Stutzman has many solo tackles per game. So I will take him over some of the other players that are there. When the scout score matches, I can do that. Oregon. Now Oregon has 10 scale score points. Jamari Caldwell is one of my favorite defensive tackles in the draft. So we'll take him. And if you want a good linebacker that Bean would like, it'd be Jay Higgins. But we have Danny Stutzman, and he's an awesome teammate. So there's that. Next, we can look at defensive line. Okay, CJ West had one of the best interviews, and Ole Miss and Indiana are both pretty high up. So you know that they're both on the dance card. Ole Miss has an 8 score, and Indiana has a 6 score. So I have to go with JJ Pegues. JJ Pegues gives us a second defensive tackle. So far, we have, okay, this is round 5. We're going to have the last pick here, but we've got a safety, edge, running back, linebacker, defensive lineman, defensive lineman. I'd like to get an edge this time or a wide receiver. Okay, so the edge is Fadil Diggs. And you remember my saying something about Fadil Diggs. Syracuse is a 13 on this list. So they like somebody at Syracuse. I have a feeling the one that they can get might actually make it to the end, the last pick. But I'm taking Fadil Diggs there because he is actually kind of twitchy. I like that. And we already have the small edge player. Okay, here we got a decision to make. We have Indiana, and Indiana's down at 6. Alabama is near the top. It's one of the top 3 or 6. I mean, so that's a possibility. The only one that ties Alabama here is Rocket Sanders. We already have a running back though, and LaQuint Allen is more like Cook. Here's an interesting one. Florida's too far down for me to consider. Let's take Q Robinson. We've got 3 edges: Kennard, Diggs, and Q Robinson. I love that combination. So we can say Vaughn, you are now edge coach. Now Jalen Travis is a ball of clay, a big ball of clay. We just had one of our offensive linemen, the swing tackle, go to medical retirement. Jalen Travis would be a wonderful guy to groom as one of those players that could play right tackle, left tackle. Now it's time to take one of these cornerbacks, and I love all 3 of them. So I'm gonna let the scout score decide. Florida is a 9. California is up there at 10, which is Marcus Harris, and UCF is further down than I thought, at 7. So Marcus Harris would be the one I would take here. Hunter Wohler of Wisconsin, I like him. The Bills didn't visit Wisconsin as much as I thought they would. So Marcus Harris is going to be our guy there. Saying, well, we don't have a wide receiver. Well, you can get a wide receiver in the later rounds, or you can get one in veteran free agency. We've run out of picks, but there are several here, like Kyle Williams, Will Shepard, players like that are still available at the end there. Okay, here's our draft. And I'll make a copy of it, and we'll post it after this podcast. This is Fanspeak, Buffalo Bills, Blizzard 716 draft, and I will post that after our podcast is done. And do you have any other questions?
How did you first start being a draft analyst?
I really started with editing. I discovered that I was good at editing back when I was a teacher, and I taught reading, I taught English, and one of the things that I realized is that people will actually pay you to edit. So I was over at Draft Tech for a number of years doing their editing the comments that go up on the website that each draft analyst makes. There's a team analyst for each team over at Draft Tech. and they do commented drafts now and then, and I would edit them. Well, we went out to Las Vegas, um, to for one of the drafts, and we rented a house, and we all sat around, and we did our editing and writing live out there in Las Vegas, and then at night we got a chance to go out and eat and uh, have libations and everything. It was a lot of fun, um, and it the nights were late, but uh, the night before the draft got put up was that was pretty tough. That's how I got into it, and then I realized I really liked making the charts that I've made, and that's gotten me interested. I have 700 players now, and I would say I have 400 or 500 of them commented, um, and if somebody actually follows me at TC Bills underscore Astro, um, I'll pick one and send you the Google Sheets. So Robbie already has them, so I can't give them to him. So if somebody follows me tonight, I'll pick one of you, and we'll get you the spreadsheets that I have.
How did you get connected with Robin and Buffalo fan base?
Oh, um, I I actually met Robin, uh, just on Twitter, and started doing that. So um, Andy Olson, he's already been talking with me, so I know I've got at least one person that's going to be following along. So in a perfect world, who's your pick at 30? I'd say one of those guys falls to us, like Malachi Starks or Tyleek Williams. What um what if everybody gobbles up all of the offensive tackles and edges and so forth, and a wide receiver falls to us? Or what if Ashton Genty falls to us? Do you take a generational uh, running back, and so I don't know who's going to be there, but in a perfect world, I have a feeling it would be either Nick Eamon or Malachi Starks, of one of the safeties, falls to me. I that would be cool. That's when I would do my happy dance.
Do you, do you see the Bills like drafting a safety?
Oh, very much. I know that a lot of people say, "Well, that's not our need." I have a feeling that one of these positions won't be a need by the time the draft comes. Eh, Um, and so far, I haven't read the tea leaves enough to know which of those positions, edge, wide receiver, or defensive tackle, gets filled with a real nice primo player. But I have a feeling that at least one of them will be off the docket, and we could probably get along with the safeties that we have. It's just that I'd rather not. Um, so I do see us drafting a safety at some point. Uh, and it doesn't have to be one of the first three picks for it to be a good one.
Um, how could like anyone find your work?
Okay, if you go to buffalofambase.com, my articles will be right there, and right down here it says TC Bills underscore Astro. That's me. TC stands for training camp because I live 5 minutes from training camp. Um, So TC Bills underscore Astro. Astrobot was my name on the first Bills board that I ever was on, the stadium wall. It was way back in the 70s, I'm afraid to say. So thanks for letting me
Um,
do this.
yeah, I mean it's fun to have someone that knows all the stats.
Well, it's looking up stats anybody can do. You probably could have AI do that. What's really great are all the stories that I get to read about each of these players and how some of them are really rags to riches stories. Ray Davis's story last year was one of my favorite stories, and now he's a Buffalo Bill. That what a great story of redemption um, that was from being homeless to having a father in prison to uh, you know he he's really he's your hope, that there is such a thing as redemption, and Ray Davis is proving it every day. Yeah, post combine, that's when the scramble takes place because you got everybody changing their minds on all of the players, and all of a sudden, uh, well, Danny Stutzman, for instance, used to be a first rounder, and now we took him at 108. So things are going to happen. Uh, they do every year, and it's all part of the fun.
Um, when when do these players get scouted or like going to the combine?
Yeah. So the I guess there are like what 318 players going to the combine, and there are others that weren't, and there are combine snubs that oh, I actually am taking a combine snub in the mock draft that I'm putting out, um, which should be out this week. Um, and I That's all part of the fun. That's all part of the story, is that this guy was snubbed and his team knows about it, and now he's got a chip on his shoulder, and he'll end up being a great player, we think. So when are they going to be scouted? The next thing they're going to do is, of course, the combine. The combine gives 5 points to their scout score, and then if the Bills go to their pro day, then that adds another 2 points to their score. It's always fun to see how this all works. So yeah, see, now Andy just posted on Twitter. He wants my on X, excuse me. He wants my spreadsheets. So you must know Andy Olson, right? I think it. There we go.
Yeah,
You must know Andy Olson.
no, I don't know him.
Oh, okay. Anyway, he was in a conversation we all sort of got connected to. So
And like when they when they go to the combine, how do they get their scores?
okay, so um, they they are put through a bunch of different tests at the combine, and all of the data is collected for each player, on vertical leap and broad jump and height, weight, arm length, um, wingspan, which is both arms, hand size, and so forth. All of that gets written down, the places you can go is check the Pittsburgh Steelers um, websites. There's some fan sites that publish the whole thing, all of the scores, and um, uh, other data is collected by Alex Katson, Katson. You can find him on Twitter, X, and I pay for that information, so because he does such a fine job of it, and it's easy to integrate into my spreadsheets. Um, so so there's all of that, and that's when we give them extra points if they meet with the Bills. Um, Lots and lots of players, lots and lots of people broadcast who the Bills met with. So that's a lot easier. I got to shout out to Ryan Talbot, because Ryan Talbot does a fine job of publishing where the Bills uh, travel around to, and he and I talked because we're both educators.
Yeah, I got to meet him and Matt Perino like during their live podcasts where they go out to um wing nuts or like
Yep,
go or like going out um
that's
and
awesome.
taking their show on the road. So
Yeah, I like I like when they do that, and I could kick myself. I missed the one that was in Rochester last year, so I'm going to try to get to this one this year. Their draft show is cool too.
yeah.
So
Like when does like the Rochester Pittsburgh trip start for the Bills?
um, the Bills are usually here in the third week in July, and they usually have about 12 practices that you can go to. They're all you have to have tickets now to go. When I first started this, you could just walk in. But I guess the Bills have gotten good, so we have to have tickets to do this. And I always put out a plea to people: if you're not coming to Rochester, and you need somebody to give the tickets to, I write up every single practice and put it on both Buffalo fan base and on Twitter. Um, you know, put connections to the reports, that I call them Astro Notes. They they go up every day. Every day I can get a ticket. I've tried walking in backwards to make them think I'm leaving, but that didn't work. So
Like what does the Astro mean in your
oh, so the Astro, I used to do educational software, and we had a company called Astrobot Academy. So then I started being Astrobot on the Stadium Wall chat site back in the day. It's in the 70s, and then it just became Astro. And I still have people that call me Astro rather than Dean. So I answer to both. So thank you very much for doing this. This was fun.
yeah and um like do you think I can have you on again before the
Draft.
draft?
Sure. I'm going to steal a week for vacation, but other than that, I'm good. I do enjoy doing this. Maybe we'll know a little bit more about what positions they're really interested in for next time.
Yeah, and hopefully um we could like do another simulated draft and
Oh, yeah, yeah. So these change the numbers change as players go up and down the boards and stuff like that as we learn about what people think about the players, and it could be that Jamari Caldwell ends up having to be the 62 pick, or whatever. Some players are going to go up and down quite a bit by the time we get into early April, I would guess. So that would be a good idea. We'll do it.
It was fun connecting with you and talking about the draft.
I appreciate it. I really do. I thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in. Let's go Buffalo. Go Bills.
Yeah, go Bills. And I'll see you next time.
Sounds good. We'll see you on X.
Yeah.
Well. Thank you.